Hi everyone, my name's Laura and I'm the Carpe Diem Stitcher. Welcome back to my channel if you're an existing subscriber, and welcome if you're new, and I hope you enjoy this vlog. And I'd just like to say a big hello to my lovely new subscribers. I've had another little flurry of new subscribers since I released my last video, which was the result of my collaboration with What Beck Sews. So I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed, and also to everybody who took the trouble to like or comment on my make, either on here or on Instagram. I had some really lovely comments, and in the end I did like the make, as you will have seen from last time's vlog. And yeah, thank you all very much for all the love that you showed on that vlog. So on to today. So today I am bringing you part 2 of my search for a wedding guest dress. So the actual wedding took place at the end of July. And I'll put the link to the first video that I did down below. So I'll let you go back and watch that to see what my thinking was when I put that up, which I think was around May time. But one of the options that I suggested I was going to look at in that video was to make up this dress, which is the Simplicity S9639. And I wanted to make view B, which is the one that the model's wearing. You can see it also there. So it looks like she's got a whopping great slit at this side. Actually, it's not, it's a wrap dress. So the slit's just caused by her, the way that her she's standing in the video. So it's not a slit as such. And you'll see it's got long sleeves, and then it's got these ruffles here and then also around the bottom. So what I decided that I was going to do was that I was going to toile it first, and then make a decision as to whether or not I would make it up for the wedding. And if I made it up for the wedding, I wanted to do it in this fabric. I'll pop a picture up here. And this is a viscose challis from Minerva. It's one of their exclusive fabrics, and it's called Rose Reverie. And I first saw that when I saw the gorgeous Tamlin had made, who's sewn on the tie, and she'd made a dress for, I think it was the Gathering in Yorkshire, in it. And I really liked it, and she was super helpful and gave me some advice about the fabric. But I started off, wanted to see what the dress was like. So I made a toile. So this is the toile of the dress. And it's in a viscose challis. It's a Nobody's Child deadstock, and it comes from Rainbow Fabrics. And you can see, hopefully, I'll pop a close-up picture of the fabric in, but it's basically got like lots of little hearts all over it. It's quite ditzy. It's very pretty actually, and it was quite nice to sew with. But I didn't have quite enough fabric because I was stupid. Rainbow Fabrics was having a sale, and I didn't quite remember how much I needed to order, and I didn't order quite enough to make view B. So I decided for my toile to make view A, which you can see hopefully. There you go. Is a much simpler version than view B. So it doesn't have any ruffles on it. It's got short sleeves, which actually are quite pretty, but it's still got the gathering, still got the elasticated waistband, and it gives you a pretty good idea of what the length is. And actually, in hindsight, I think it was a good idea to make a plainer version, because you can see the fit much better and kind of get a sense of what the dress looks like. So this is my toile, and I will pop up some pictures of me wearing it, which I took, got my husband to take in the garden earlier today. I'm not wearing it now because it is freezing in South Wales, so I went and froze in the garden, the things we do for YouTube. But yeah, I'm not wearing it now. But so I thought I'd talk you through the pattern and what I thought of the pattern and what I think of the fit and everything. And then we'll move on and I'll let you know what happened. So have to forgive me because I'm looking down at my notes so I don't forget anything. So yeah, this is a Simplicity wrap dress, as I said, and I've got, as I say, Olivia's wearing it, and this comes, it's one of these annoying patterns. because the big four will split their patterns up. And this is another one. It's like the one I mentioned last week that I made up for the collaboration, where they've split the sizing and there isn't any overlap at all. So it comes in sizes 6 to 24, and the size 6 is meant to be for a bust measurement of 30.5, and it goes up to size 24, which is 46 inches. I'm just going to mention the bust measurements because it's an elasticated waist and fairly loose on the hip, I think that's the one that's most likely to determine what size you would go for. It's certainly what I went off. But really annoyingly, it splits so that you get sizes 6 to 14 and 16 to 24. So I had a bit of a dilemma, because if I look at the hip measurements and the waist measurements, that puts me in approximately somewhere between a size 16 and a size 18. But my bust definitely falls between the size 12 and the size 14. So I had a look at the finished garment measurements, and the finished garment on the bust for a size 12, which is meant to be for a bust of 34 inches, is 41 inches. So I decided there was plenty of ease in that, and I wouldn't worry about getting the larger size for the hips and waist. I thought it would probably be all right because of all the elastic round the waist. So I was a bit naughty and I just cut into the pattern, which isn't something I normally do, but there were quite a lot of pattern pieces, because at this point I thought I was going to have enough fabric to make view A, and then realised very quickly that I wasn't going to. So I'd cut out all the ruffles, and there's pieces so the waistband has got facings and it's made up of multiple pieces of fabric. So yeah, so I just cut into it, naughty. So what did I think of it? Well, for a big four pattern, the instructions weren't actually too bad, but annoyingly it didn't say, as ever with big four patterns, where you were meant to finish your edges before whether you did it before you sewed it or not. So in some cases I actually ended up with the odd seam that I think probably needed finishing and didn't. So in particular, I will just show you on Olivia, hopefully, if I can. Is this going to come into shot? Let me see. Hopefully. If not, I'll pop a picture in. That's probably not going to come up. But basically here, and I'll pop a photo, what I've done is I've ironed like stretch interfacing that you can put on the shoulders on jersey garments, and I've just ironed that all the way down on the inside of the skirt facing. It's a self-facing, just so that it won't fray, because this fabric it's not as bad as some I've sewn with, but it does fray quite easily. So I just ironed that down and finished it off, and I thought that was better than it not fraying. One other thing I wanted to mention is that you have to stay stitch around various parts of the bodice before you attach your facing. And I tried the stay tape that I had seen Lauren from Guthrie Garney use, and I've mentioned it in a previous video, so I'll link that video down below. And actually I didn't find it that useful. I found it didn't really stay on. Now that might be me, it might be that I didn't leave the iron on it, so I'm not saying don't use it, but I'm saying for me, first time out, bit of a struggle, kept having to go and re-iron it. So yeah. I also managed, it was all going beautifully, and then I managed, while I was trimming seams, I managed to cut a hole in the waistband facing, so a massive hole. Fortunately, I had enough fabric to recut it, so I recut it. But let's just say I went and bought some of those duckbill scissors so that it stops you cutting into seams. So I'll pop a pic of those up here for you so you can see what I mean. It's elasticated around the waist. It's got two pieces of elastic that go in these channels round at the top and bottom of the waistband. And it advises you very sensibly to do those at the same time, so that you're not trying to insert a second piece of elastic when the first one is already gathered, which I think is really sensible. It was still incredibly hard to do, getting it round the seams, and there's quite a lot of seams in the waistband. So yeah, it was okay. I managed it. I did get my husband's help, I have to say, just to kind of help tug it through some of the awkward bits. So maybe I made heavy weather of it. I do wonder whether actually it might have been easier to just shear the waist. That would have probably had the same effect and might have been a bit easier to do. So yeah, again, just something to think about, really. I did French seams on the skirt because I wanted to see if it was going to look better. And it does look better. It absolutely does look better with the French seams. So I did try and do it properly. And the other thing I did, and again, I'll pop a close-up picture in for you, where it fastens at the waist, you've got ties. So you can see behind me, hopefully, you've got these tie ribbons. But at this side, it fastens with a button, which is attached to the right seam here. And then it's meant to button into a piece of ribbon, and I thought, I don't think a piece of ribbon is going to be hugely durable, so I actually used tape, and I think it probably worked better because I don't think it's going to fray, and it's not under too much strain. It seems to hold it quite well, so that's fine. The worst bit of the whole thing was doing this hem. So as you will have seen on the picture, it's got these right angles on it. It's like oh sorry, I'm holding that up. There you go. So you can see it's got these right angles on the hem, and here you've got no ruffle, so you've just got a hem. So you're meant to turn it up and do a narrow hem. So you fold it over, then fold it over again, and it's meant to be, I think it's 1.5 centimetres in total. So it's super fiddly, and you have to cut off the sharp edges around these corners, and then it makes the corner edges neater. It took me ages to fathom that, and I also found it super fiddly to do. So I have now acquired 4mm and 6mm rolled hem feet, and what I did hem it, and I didn't think I made a very good job of it. So being a complete purist, and it's one of the reasons I haven't made this video before, I decided I was going to redo it. So I unpicked it all, and then I re-hemmed it this week, and it is a bit better, but still it was difficult to do, and it went on forever. So what I did, I roll hemmed the kind of straight bits, and then every time I got to one of these mitered corners, I would stop, pin that, and then carry on. So I've ended up with a hem of about 1.2 centimetres instead of 1.5, but 3mm over the whole skirt. You can't really tell. Okay, so I will pop a picture in of me wearing this, and then I'll tell you what happened. So hopefully you can see from the picture, it fits fine on the bodice. Overall, it's actually really quite a nice fit. The waist doesn't feel too tight, fits quite nicely. I really like the handkerchief hem on the bottom. As I say, I'm not overly thrilled about the way that the hemming was, but I like the way it moves. I think it's quite nice in this floaty fabric. I actually quite like the shorter sleeves, and I like the gathering. It's just got a little bit of gathering across the top here. So I do think it's a really pretty dress. So you can't tell so well on Olivia, and you actually can't really tell on the photos of me that I'll pop up. But when I was putting it on to take the photographs, I kept finding that this bit was really gapey, and I really wasn't that thrilled with it. So I was actually going to put a safety pin in to try to get it to stay put while I was getting the photographs taken. In the end, I did manage to get it to stay, but I would not like to wear it for a full day without something. So I think what I might do is try it on a few times more, and with different bras and things, to see if I can establish where it is that I would want to put something. But I think what I might do is just pop a little press stud here, because if I do that, it will hopefully stay. And then the neckline doesn't actually look too low, because I thought maybe I should raise the height of the neckline. But I don't actually think it needs it. I think if I just popped a breasted somewhere there just to hold it, it would be fine. But yes, it was kind of a bit annoying. I think it would get me down. And the other thing is that I know lots of people complain about this. The facing is super flappy. So it was the other thing that was annoying me while I was trying it on. It keeps trying to roll out and roll out down there. So whether that's an argument, if I made it again for doing it with bias binding, it might be. But of course, it's quite good to have a reasonable rigidity of the facing. But maybe I would just decide to top stitch it even. I mean, in fact, it does show view B. It suggests you could even make it in a denim. So if I made it in a denim, I think, you know, you could top stitch that in a contrasting fabric thread, and it would look quite nice. So yeah, so that was kind of frustrating. But overall, yes, I like it. However, did I choose it to make a dress up to wear to the wedding? Well, let's just say I bought the fabric and here it is. And as you can see, it's not made up into the Simplicity pattern. So the answer is no, I didn't. And actually, I had decided that I wasn't going to make that dress up before I finished the toile. So obviously I finished the toile because it was a wearable toile and I did like the pattern. But I'd chosen not to make it again for the wedding. And there were two reasons for that, maybe. And the first one, I have to say, I brought this up to stay with my mum in June, and I was making it up, and I showed her it, and I showed her a picture of the fabric, and she kind of went, "Oh," and I thought, "Oh no, here we go." And she said she didn't think that the fabric was very weddingy. Now, I don't think I agree with her completely, but I kind of have this feeling that it might not have worked for the wedding at the end of July. I think I would have felt a bit out of place, and having been, I'm sure I would have felt a bit out of place. So I think my mum kind of made me have a bit of a rethink. Well, she didn't force me to have a rethink, she caused me to have a rethink. And the other thing that was concerning me was that because this fabric is white on the back, you see it, you can see the pattern through it, but it's very definitely paler on the back. I think in the end I wouldn't have been comfortable with that, because if you look at the picture here, yes, I could double face the ruffles and I would have done that, but you can actually see that in certain angles you can see the inside of the dress, and I just thought that was such a contrast that I would feel quite uncomfortable with that. So in the end I decided that I wasn't going to do that dress for the wedding. So I actually stopped making this one and started casting around for something else, if you like, thinking for something else, and then finished this one afterwards. So yeah, so that's part of the reason why you're only seeing the video now, and my deciding to redo the hem. So on this one, I don't feel it matters quite so much about the white, because you can see that's the inside of the fabric, and then that's the main side of the fabric. So I think because they're both black and white, or that's sort of white but there's white in the dress, it's just not so dramatic. So I decided that this is fine and I will wear it, and I actually think it will look really nice in the winter if I can get some kind of a light black or even white, but probably black sort of turtleneck polo neck sweater, to wear that over the top with boots and black tights, I think will look really nice, and I think it will be absolutely fine. Obviously it's a bit I don't think I would really want to put a cardigan over those sleeves. I think I'd find that quite uncomfortable and they might sort of roll up a bit. But yeah, I think I can get some wear out of that unless it gets really freezing cold. And I think that will be quite a nice one to wear into the office for work. So yeah, so it isn't a disaster at all. Would I make it again? I'm honestly not sure. Maybe in a denim, but I'm really honestly not sure. I think there are other wrap dresses that I would try before I made that one again. Okay, so we've ruled this one out. So what did I start thinking about next? So at this point, I'm still staying with my mum and I start looking around and I found this dress. So this is the Gertrude dress by Style Arc. So the Gertrude dress is described as a designer dress featuring a fitted bodice, drop shoulder line, tucked up sleeves, inverted pleats and a back zip. So the dress code for the wedding, I forgot to say earlier, but it was English country wedding. And then it said ladies maxi or midi dresses. So this would fit the brief, it would be fine. And I thought it suggests, let's have a look at the fabric. It says wash linen, crepe, silk or rayon. So I'm kind of looking for some fabric, and I actually thought it might be quite nice in something like a cotton lawn or something with a bit more structure to show off those sleeve pleats. So I'm looking around for some fabric, and I'm looking, and I'm really sorry if you can hear the cat because he likes sleeping on this chair and he's clawing at the door and he's shut out. So apologies if you can hear him. So I was looking at the Guthrie Garney birthday anniversary fabric and wondering about seeing if I could make up the Gertrude dress in that. And then this happened. So I will be back and show you what happened. So what happened was that Fabric Godmother released their first dress pattern. In fact, their first pattern ever, and it was the peony dress. So I'll pop a picture up of the two views of the dress. So one of them is short with flounces around the cuffs, and the other one has the same flounces around the cuffs, but also a flounce around the bottom. So I thought this one fitted the bill perfectly. And then I saw this picture that I'm showing you now. And I just went, yes, that's the fabric I want, and that's the dress I want. So Fabric Godmother had been doing kits of this, and I wasn't in time to get that. I think it's called the linear fabric. So I'll pop a link to it down below if they've still got it, and I'll link you to the pattern. But I was able to get the fabric and a zip, and I actually used black thread to sew it up because it's got so many different colours on it that really doesn't really matter which you use. So let me tell you what I thought of the pattern. So it comes in sizes 6 up to 30. So it's actually much more inclusive than the Simplicity one, as you might expect. And a size 6 is for bust size 31.5, and a size 30 is for 55-inch bust. So I got my husband to measure me, and I came out at a size 12 for the bust, and I graded out to a size 14 for the waist and hip. And I was really nervous about the hip because the hip measurement he got me at was a good 2 inches less than I had been the previous time he'd measured me. So I was really worried in case he got it wrong, but he hadn't, and it was absolutely fine. And I think it fits really nicely. So I'll pop a couple of pictures up. So one of me at the wedding with absolute bargain shoes that I got from Next for something like £16 in the sale, which I was pretty pleased about. And the wrap I've got on with the dress was a loan from a work colleague in case it got cool, which it didn't. It was a really hot day. And I'll just put a picture up because I think it's cute of me and my husband at the wedding. But I'll put you some of the pictures up which were taken. I wore this, there was a country show and I did some stewarding, which is why I've got a badge on. And I wore it for that, and I just changed my shoes and wore it with some silver lace-up pumps that I've got, and it was super comfortable for doing that as well. So really good versatile dress. I think it's smart, but I think you can dress it up or dress it down. And at the wedding, it was great for dancing in. It was great for sitting down and eating in. I think they didn't seem to take many photos of the general guests, but I think it looked fine for photos. So I was really pleased with it, and I didn't feel out of place. And actually, there were quite a few people at the wedding who were wearing quite similar styles. And I do know that it has been said that this pattern is quite similar to a pattern by the vampire's wife, whose dresses cost lots and lots and lots of money. So I'll see if I can find one of their dresses, and I'll pop a picture up of that there. So what was it like to sew? Actually, it was really pretty good on the whole. I'm not the quickest sewer in the world, so need to bear that in mind, but it went together nicely. The instructions are super clear. And also I found a sew along, which I suspect the person might have been working with Fabric Godmother, but I can't honestly be sure, but I'm pretty sure she was using Fabric Godmother fabrics, and it's by, just looking at my notes, House of Miss Sew. So I'll pop a link to that down below. So I used that tutorial as well, just watched it to make sure that I was doing the right thing. Other than for, if I spin Olivia around, you will see there is an invisible zip down the back. And I didn't bother pattern matching because the fabric's so busy, I thought it wouldn't really matter. But yes, so I got my invisible zip in. So I was really pleased with that. And for that, I used an invisible zip tutorial, which is by Whitney from Tomcat Stitchery, simply because I like the way she does it. So I'll link to that down below as well. But yeah, it was a really nice sew. There is a lot of gathering. So I bought a gathering foot and I bought a rolled hem foot, hence having the rolled hem foot for the toile when I finished it. And the gathering foot worked perfectly on the sleeves. And then I started doing it around the bottom of the dress, which I still was finishing on the Friday. The wedding was on the Saturday, but it was in Yorkshire. So we had to drive up the day before. And I was still finishing this dress in the morning. And as I say, I'm not necessarily the fastest sewer in the world, and I wanted to get it right because I was going to wear it to the wedding. And I hadn't finished the black and white toile, so I couldn't wear that. That was gone. And I couldn't get it together. And I think I probably wasn't sewing fast enough. I've read somewhere that you need to sew quite quickly with the gathering foot so it gets the momentum and gathers. So I had to go back and do it the old-fashioned way with the 2 rows of gathering stitches. So it was all fine. And I got it done. And I think we'd intended to leave the house at something like 12 o'clock. And I finished it at 1 o'clock. And I threw it in the suitcase thinking, well, I can press it properly when I got there. But I've been pressing bits as I've been sewing, obviously. Anyway, so we get off. We get halfway up the M5 and I suddenly went, I'm a bit worried that I might not have switched the iron off. And let's just say that's the closest I've been to divorce for a little while. Because we came back because although I thought I probably had switched it off, we'd left the cats at home overnight on their own and we just couldn't take the risk that I'd not switched the iron off. And of course I had switched the iron off, so it was all fine. But yeah, not good. Really not good. So yeah, my advice is if you're sewing something for a wedding, start in plenty of time and try not to change your mind about 4 weeks before the wedding as to what you're going to make. But I am really, really pleased that I did change my mind because I think it's a beautiful dress. Not to say I won't get somewhere out of the other one, I'm sure I will, but I think I felt happier because I think the pattern and the dress just go really well together. And I think if I were to make it again, which I'm sure I shall, actually it's better to do it on this one. On the cuff, I didn't double it over because I'd never made it before. And I think it's okay, I think it's fine. But if I made the dress again, I would fold the fabric over and cut it double for the cuff so that you don't get that inside different colour look. So that was the, you know, the issue that I was having on the other dress as well. I'm not sure I'd bother on the bottom because it hangs down so far that unless you're sitting, you know, with one leg crossed over the other or something, you probably wouldn't see it that much. And the other thing I did, I cheated and I didn't do narrow hem on this. I just overlocked it and did straight hem, because by that time I was running out of time and I don't think it really mattered massively anyway. So that's the only other thing I did differently. So yeah, so that's what I wore in the end. So the only thing really is, what am I going to do with all this fabric? Well, I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do with this fabric. I think I'm going to make another peony dress, because I think that would be really nice, don't you? So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the dresses in the comments down below. I always love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this and you're watching my channel and you haven't yet subscribed, I'd love it if you did, because then if you click the little notification bell down below, you'll be notified when I bring other videos out. None of it costs you anything, but it helps my channel enormously if people would like to subscribe. And also if you hit the thumbs up down below to let me know that you're enjoying the content. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.